Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. And this is Promise from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Promise. In entering into the Covenant of Freemasonry, the candidate makes a promise to the order, for his covenant is simply a promise where he voluntarily places himself under a moral obligation to act within certain conditions in a particular way. The law of promise is therefore strictly applicable to this covenant, and by that law the validity and obligation of the promises of every candidate must be determined. In every promise there are these two things to be considered: the intention and the obligation. As to the intention of all casuists, the Jesuits alone have contended that the intention may be concealed within the bosom of the promiser. All Christian and pagan writers agree on the principle that the words expressed must convey their ordinary meaning to the promise. If we promise to do a certain thing tomorrow, we cannot, when the morrow comes, refuse to do it on the ground that we only promised to do it, if it suited us when the time of performance had arrived. The obligation of every promiser is then to fulfill the promise that he has made, not in any way that he may have secretly intended, but in the way in which he supposes that the one to whom he made it understood it at the time that it was made. Hence, all Masonic promises are accompanied by the declaration that they are given without equivocation or mental reservation of any kind whatsoever. All voluntary promises are binding unless there be some paramount consideration which will release the obligation of performance. It is worthwhile then to inquire if there be any such considerations which can impair the validity of Masonic promises. Dr. Wayland, Elements of Moral Science, page 285, lays down 5 conditions in which promises are not binding. 1. Where the performance is impossible. 2. Where the promise is unlawful. 3. Where no expectation is voluntarily excited by the promiser. 4. Where they proceed upon a condition which the promiser subsequently finds does not exist. 5. Where either of the parties is not a moral agent, it is evident that no one of these conditions will apply to Masonic promises. For 1. Every promise made at the altar of Masonry is possible to be performed. 2. No promise is exacted that is unlawful in its nature, for the candidate is expressly told that no promise exacted from him will interfere with the duty which he owes to God and to his country. 3. An expectation is voluntarily excited by the promiser, and that expectation is that he will faithfully fulfill his part of the covenant. 4. No false condition of things is placed before the candidate, either as to the character of the institution or the nature of the duties which would be required of him. 5. Both parties to the promise, the candidate who makes it and the craft to whom it is made, are moral agents, fully capable of entering into a contract or covenant. This, then, is the proper answer to those adversaries of Freemasonry who contend for the invalidity of Masonic promises on the very grounds of Wayland and other moralists. Their conclusions would be correct were it not that every one of their premises is false. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment, and if you can please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.